Yeah, we're finally getting the smoke over here in the Northwest, and so Barrie is just across the river from me, and it's like you look outside and you see the sun and everything. It's just this like everything's sepia toned, and it was all fine yesterday, and then today it's just like it's just gray everywhere, and yeah,
What's AQI?
it's a air
Air
quality
quality
index.
index.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when you start getting the 400s that you can chew the air, and yeah, we've had that. So
It's where I can go and smoke my cigar and nobody will be any the wiser.
the air is
Or you
cleaner
can just skip
around
spending
you.
money on
Yeah.
the cigar and just stand outside and breathe.
That's true too. Very cool. All right. What else, fellas? Anything else? Got a lot in the chat tonight. Good to see a lot of.
Yeah, it's a double header.
Friendly
We might as
faces.
well just get this thing going, man.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Ted, you got everything ready?
Yeah, I do have to say, Peter, thanks for not joining the other guys today and joining us today. He couldn't make it to the OB podcast, but he's with a good podcast this afternoon.
He was missed.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
All right.
Once I find the right nav. All right, here we are.
Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast. What is it like to become a pilot in midlife? The challenges are unique, but so are the rewards. Hosts Ben, Brian, and Ted talk learning to fly, growing as pilots, and the joy of flying to destinations. The purpose of the podcast is not to teach, but to share knowledge and experiences. You definitely should not take any advice too seriously from an aviation podcast that uses terms like icing on the vegetables. Okay, checklists are complete. Let's get the show started.
Hello and welcome to episode 192 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast, where we share the experiences and challenges of flying in midlife. Today, we're going to be talking about flying and actually having someone else pay the expenses of that flight. With me today, as always, it's my friend in Nashville, Tennessee, flying a Cherokee 180 named Lucy. His name's Brian Siskin. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Coming to you live from a impromptu co-location facility because the internet is questionable again in my typical studio environment. So I'm glad to have made it. I'm glad to be here, and I'm excited for this one. I'm so glad to have our guest, and we'll hear more about it. But this is going to be a good one.
Yes, sir. And a lot of greenery behind you. It's a good look for you. Also joining us from the West Coast, it's our sport pilot extraordinaire flying a CTLS. We like to call the Egg. It's Ted. How you doing, sir?
Hey, glad to be here. Yeah, we're talking beforehand, and I've got all the smoke over here. So life's good, though. Have a good
Nice. Nice. And then joining us tonight is someone that I've come to know pretty well. His name is James O'Neill. He is a pilot and an instructor with type ratings in the King Air, Citation, and an Embraer 170 and 190. He's flown for a regional, a fractional jet company, and has flown FAA flight check operations. After being furloughed in 2010, he founded Raven Career Development to coach pilots through their careers. In addition to one-on-one, he's very active on LinkedIn and sends a weekly newsletter. And he's also a former FAA Sky Cop, but that's a topic for another day. James, we're really glad to have you. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you. How many listeners did we just lose based on the FAA alone?
Both of them. Yeah.
I am here to help. That makes me feel any better.
We're not happy unless you're not.
Yeah,
happy.
exactly.
Isn't that the motto? So, no, we want to talk about we've got a subset in our group that want to fly professionally, myself included, and I have enjoyed your services that you guys provide, and we can get into that later, but I do want to go around the horn real quick. I have not done any flying since Oshkosh, and I'm starting to feel the itch again. Brian, Ted, y'all got anything to report in the last week or so?
I have no, I don't think I've flown since the last episode. It's been a little bit busy or stormy. I'll just quickly tell you the fun things, two fun things that I'm doing. One is I went a little crazy over the weekend, and I've always thought I wanted to have a website that was a complete web-based interface for everything to do with the aircraft that I'm part owner in, and I was able to build something that I think is so cool. But it has all of the things, all of the information. I'm working on extracting all of the applicable part numbers and building a parts catalog that's just unique to the plane. All these things. It's just a really neat, fun exercise. But the coolest thing that it did is obviously leveraging the old Claude AI, but it was able. So I have all the 337s and all of the registrations and all of the documents from the microfiche from the FAA about this plane going back to 1968, and it is able to infer and figure out all of these correlations and things that I was never able to piece together before about sort of the narrative and the story of the life of the plane. And so I built out all of these stories kind of half automatically. And it's been so neat, to see. It's almost like somebody sitting down and just telling you all about the plane with all these different little tales of, the guy that, Mr. James Beardmore, who ran a burger place called the Lil Duffer up in Iowa, and he had it because he used it for because I've got it where it goes out and polls all of this information that's publicly available, and then brings it back and then creates a narrative out of it, and it's sort of like Charles Kuralt sitting down and telling you about your airplane. It's been so cool. So anyway, I'm super excited about having done that, and that's going to continue to grow. And then otherwise, as you guys know, I started my own online course for called The Long Way, which is inspiring VFR and IFR pilots to have more confidence to take long trips and all the things they don't teach you in flight school. And my first cohort alpha starts tomorrow night. So
Nice.
Getting ready for that and getting into teacher mode. So it's been really fun to prepare for all that, and very excited about that whole prospect. But no flying, but hopefully later this week.
I think I'm going to try to get up this week as well.
You announced that cohort Bravo will be starting on August 13th. So
yeah, the second cohort, there's still some seats available. So go to makesmallcorrections.com and get one and be a part of it.
Yeah, the only thing that I've been up to is I was thinking about it, and it took me 100 minutes to climb to pattern altitude twice. That was on my bicycle. So it's when you think about things in pattern altitude, it's a little bit different on doing climbs that way.
Yep. James, want to ask you, did you fly yourself up to Oshkosh or?
I did, but as a professional, I was not brave enough to fly into Oshkosh. I went to Green Bay and drove
nice.
down. I was supposed to go up on that Sunday, but all the smoke came in, and so people started diverting left and right. So I diverted into Michigan and then got up there on Monday and was out on Wednesday. I too have not flown since Oshkosh though. So
right. And I believe you have a Baron, is that correct?
Yeah, I do. I've got fortunate that I found a nice gentleman locally who does not fly it very much, and so I was like, "Hey, man, I can help you with that."
There you go.
And so I usually fly between about 7,500 hours a year now. So
nice.
Yeah, it's fun.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to go straight into some listener feedback. We've got a review. Brian, we asked for it, and look there, we actually got one. But if it's okay, we can go ahead and start with that.
Oh yeah. So we got one from Andrew G. He says, Hey guys, been listening to you now for 3 months and love the podcast. I'm a student pilot with aspirations of making it to the majors. I'm also a midlife career changer at 39 years old and would love any advice on that if you're willing to give any. Boy, how timely is that, by the way?
Which is why I put that in there. That literally came in day before yesterday.
We did not do this on purpose. Yeah.
Are we releasing our guest list unwittingly? Does this listener have access to our email?
That's what I'm wondering.
He says, either way, I'd love some stickers so I can help spread you guys around. Keep up the good show. So Ted's our sticker deployment special agent.
Ted, I took responsibility, and the stickers are in the mail. Drew, you're all set. So, nice. And then listen to this episode, and I think you'll get a lot of great advice.
Yeah. So Ben became the sticker czar when I mailed him stickers that I didn't even want to count. I had to weigh them to decide how many I sent Ben. So he's got plenty of stickers to ship out. But yeah, let us know if you want some. Send them out. They are. It's quite the icebreaker. I think I've mentioned on the show before, but a 20-year-old mechanic was working on my annual, and he's like, "Yeah, I started listening to your podcast because I saw the sticker on the plane." It's like, "Oh, you are now the youngest listener ever."
Well, it's nice that he saw it on the airplane and not a bathroom stall where other people have saw our stickers.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I'm going to hit a review, and then we got some feedback on the tape machine, and then James will we'll dive into it deep. But we did get a review from Drew Aviator 514. Awesome podcast. Love hearing from people around my age just starting their pilot journey. That's it. That's what we're here all about. So,
well, I just also want to say that for those that are just starting out on your pilot journey, this episode, while we're focusing obviously on career 2.0 and all of that from a midlife perspective, be sure to listen in, because this is also you're going to get a lot out of this no matter where you are or what your intentions are, and maybe it'll, I don't know, spark an idea that maybe you didn't have before. So stick around.
Yeah. So Ted, we got some feedback on the tape machine?
Yeah, I'm going to kick the feedback to our next episode.
Okay.
So yeah.
Good. Oh, and you put a note in there said next episode. Sorry.
Next episode. Yes. Yeah.
Brian, how about some housekeeping?
We'll make it quick here. We got a lot to talk about, but you can join our Patreon community and help us keep the Midlife Pilot podcast ad-free. Your support makes the show possible, and every membership level gets you into our incredibly active Discord community. And some of us midlifers actually can figure out how to use Discord, believe it or not. Like, we actually, we've even had people say, "I've got cool points with my kid," for like, what do you mean? You're like, we're universally making Discord uncool for young people at an alarming rate. For everything Midlife Pilot podcast, to support us on Patreon, send feedback, grab merch, check out event info or non-event info. We are doing a non-event in Atlanta at RYY episode 200 sometime in late September. When is that?
Great.
Never mind.
Roughly around that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it again
We'll
sometime.
get more into it later.
Yeah. But anyway, visit midlifepilotpodcast.com. Everything is there. Don't forget also that we have the ultimate guide to becoming a midlife pilot. It's a really rich, well thought out, well sourced PDF that you can download for free, and you can share it with people if you want to just. It's nice to answer the question, hey, how do you go about getting a pilot's license? But this is really the comprehensive midlife guide to doing it. So it goes pretty deep. So you can get that on midlifepilotpodcast.com. And if you're enjoying the show, leave a 5-star review. Thanks for these new reviews, by the way. And leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll read it on the air. And then hit subscribe or follow on your podcast app so you never miss an episode. And it helps other midlifers find us.
Very cool. Well, we want to go ahead and dive right in and get to our guest, James. And I want to start out by saying that, in full disclosure, I'm a client of Raven Consulting. When I started my professional journey, which I'm currently still on, obviously, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I heard James talk on the 21.5 podcast. And I'd heard I have friends that have also used their services and spoke very highly of them. I was instantly impressed with how much of a grip James has on what's going on in the industry and all the different careers. So while the majority of our audience is flying for fun, we do have a subset that's considering flying professionally. So either as a second career or a retirement career. That's why we're glad that James agreed to do this with us. He's been career coaching since 2010. So before we dive in, most career and aviation conversations are aimed at 22-year-olds. Our crowd is not that. It's not the first career change. So what changes when a person's 48 years old and they're starting to look for a job flying airplanes?
A lot. So the conversations are not even on the same planet. And just for context, so I do a lot of coaching with folks that are like 18 to 22 that are just getting into the industry. I do a lot of coaching with folks in their 30s, 40s, and 50s that are transitioning out of engineering. We've got people in audio, I've got a guy that's a video operator in Hollywood, right? Or a camera operator in Hollywood. Folks transitioning from business, real estate, so on and so forth. But I also work with folks that are like 65 transitioning out of being a airline pilot, one Delta United American, and now they're like, I'm not ready to hang it up. I want to work for another 5 or even sometimes 10 years. And so the conversation that I have with a 22-year-old versus a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, and a 65-year-old are very, very, very different conversations. I'm going to focus on the 30 to 50 range, if that's okay.
That's great.
But if you have people on either bookend on that, we can go into that as well. So the first major difference is, and I'm sure we can all think back to when we were in our early 20s, you don't have the same level of commitment and responsibility, right? And so when I was in my early 20s, not saying this is the case for everybody, but I didn't have any children. I didn't have a house, didn't have boatloads of debt, right? Like I didn't have any of those. I call those anchors. I don't mean that in a negative way, but those are things that keep you grounded in a specific location, right?
As long as you didn't speak of it as spouse in that context,
yeah,
we're good.
Yeah, exactly.
We're safe. We're
He was
safe.
very careful about that.
Yeah, very careful. Right?
All right.
So, but you have these things that are holding you in place, and you have these responsibilities to other people, right? You have a responsibility to a husband or a wife. You may have children. You may have children that are in high school. You may have children that are in college. And so, if you're in your, let's use the number 48, right? You're probably in the prime earning of whatever career field you're currently in. And so if you're making 100 or 200 or $300,000 a year, depending on what you're doing, and you go home to your spouse and say, hey, I'm thinking about shutting down the income for the next 5 years. I want to take on about $120,000 worth of debt. And when I'm done, I can get a part-time 1099 job that pays about $17,000 a year. Right? But it's my dream. I'm going to be so happy.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't work that way. And so when someone comes to me, right? And sometimes folks will come to me and they're in the position of, I'm thinking of making the transition. Sometimes people will come to me, hey, so I'm thinking about making the transition. They haven't taken a flight ever yet. They've never been in an airplane. You have other people that maybe they've got their private or their instrument, and they're like, okay, I'm at this kind of crossroads where I think I can do this, or do I just stay the course and continue doing this for fun? And then you have folks that are, hey, I've got my commercial multi CFI. I've been kind of doing this for fun, but I don't think I want to do it for just fun anymore. Now I think I want to make this a career. First thing is, hey, is your significant other willing to come into a one-on-one conversation where we can talk through considerations? Because like Ben said, none of us know what we don't know until we start making, you can make the mistakes yourself, or you can pay somebody else that's made poor decisions. They call them experts, right? You can pay an expert to explain to you all the potholes that they've run into. Think about, anybody listening now who's a working professional, right, in their career field. If I wanted to go from being a professional pilot to whatever it is that they do, there's a lot of things I don't know, and there's a lot of mistakes I'm going to make. But if I took some time and spoke with them and said, hey, if you were in my shoes going backwards, what would you think about?
You're like, I want to be a cardiologist. So
yeah,
just walk me through it.
Exactly. So there's a world of difference because number one, you have responsibility to other people, but the cost of failure is a lot higher. At 22, you're just losing out on time.
So this, I love this. And by the way, before you get totally past it, I really wanted to drill down on the thing that I think a lot of people like me and others think and feel about the question of, if I go pro, is it going to kill the love of aviation that I have? Is it going to be, am I going to lose something out of this? And I was curious about if you had any anecdotal experiences, observations, or points of view about how that goes for people, because I'm sure that you've probably helped people get all the way through the process and get a gig and have people go, you know what, this is not really what I thought it was. It's not working out for me, not because of the arrangement of the gig, but just, I don't know, I kind of liked it when it was just something I did for fun.
So I have had more clients than you would realize. And I'll tell you one in particular. This individual started out as a flight instructor, ended up flying for a very large fractional, got to the fractional and said, I think I want to make a run at going to a legacy airline. I'm not going to tell you what the legacy airline is because it's irrelevant. It actually doesn't matter. About 18 months after we work with them, they get hired by the legacy airline. They go straight into a 757.
Wow.
And I get a call 6 months later. I want to quit. I hate it. And I go, all right, so tell me about it. He goes, do you know why they put cockpit doors on? He goes, we tell you it's to keep bad people out, but it's actually to lock us in. I mean, hated the job. And in particular the 2021 to 2023 timeframe, that was probably happening about once a week that somebody was calling me up in that situation because they got there too fast. And getting there fast sounds fun, except for the fact that that journey taking a little bit more time gives you time to process and adjust. You get really it's the difference between climbing to the top of Everest and taking a helicopter to the top of Everest. I'm not saying the view doesn't look great either way, but your appreciation of the view is going to change, and your acclimatization as you're going up is going to change.
Great point. Great point.
Can it become not fun? Yeah, it can. And I am somebody that for a period of time, it was not fun for. Specifically, so I'm in my early 40s, just for context. I started instrument training in college June 15th, 2001.
Wow.
Yeah. Jersey. My dad actually just sent me a picture last week of my solo certificate. He found it in the basement. And he titled the email 228 days because my dad was first responder on 9/11.
Wow.
And he goes, here's your solo certificate. He then had the picture of me flying him by the World Trade Center because I did a Hudson River tour.
Wow.
28 days later, he was first responder to that, right?
Man.
Okay. I was the youngest pilot hired by NetJets. I got hired on a Monday. The pay was $28,000 a year. On Wednesday, they passed a new contract. By Friday, I was making $90,000. 18 months later, I was the youngest pilot to ever get furloughed from that company.
Wow.
And we were on a rocket ship. Everything was supposed to be going great. 18 months later, I was applying for jobs at Home Depot, being told I wasn't qualified. Right? So there were some points where it got brutally difficult. And you really do, specifically in the downturns, right? When, you take a look at all these sacrifices that you made and you can't even get into an airplane. Or, maybe something's going on at home and you're out on a trip and it's like the third day in a row, passengers have literally screamed at you in the terminal. There are days where you're like, shit, what did I sign up for here? Like, because the thing is, the flying is not the problem. It's everything. People don't fall out of love with flying. They fall out of love with all the other stuff. It's the missing birthdays. It's the missing holidays. It's the people screaming at you in the terminal. It's a fist fight in the back of an airplane. It's a flight attendant that doesn't like the captain. It's I missed my commute leg. Now I just lost 20 hours of pay this month. It's the, hey, I'm flying corporate and the principal has changed the trip 17 times in the past 3 days. That's the stuff that wears on people.
So we've really talked this up. I mean, this is great.
So the difference becomes if you go into this eyes wide open, knowing what you're getting into, you end up figuring out, okay, what do I actually want out of this? You draw a circle around that, and the rest of the stuff I'm talking about becomes noise. But if you watched Top Gun and did not do any research past that movie and decided you wanted to be a naval aviator, it's probably not going to go the way you like. I always joke around with people in coaching sessions that when they think about becoming a pilot, the image they have in their head is Leonardo DiCaprio and Catch Me If You Can with the flight attendants in the V4. That will never happen to you. I promise you, that's not going to happen to you. So if you go in with that expectation, you're going to come out with broken dreams. But if you go into it with the realistic expectation of what the job is and what you want to get out of it, when somebody screams at you, you go, yeah, but I'm going to a really nice hotel in Aspen and somebody else is paying for it. Like, and you just, it's okay. It is what it is.
And that's the point I was going to make. So I knew about this stuff. My brother-in-law flew for Delta for many, many years, was a line check airman. And he would absolutely tell me about the noise that you're referring to. I think there's a lot of us out there with a slightly different perspective in that I just retired from a 35-year career in the insurance industry. And I'm going to just go ahead and say it. 99% of every phone call I received was not to say, thank you very much.
Bet you wasn't.
A lot of screaming, a lot of shouting. And so, I think some of us are kind of conditioned to be, that's just part of life, that we're going to be expecting that. And there was a comment from our friend Barry, Checkmate Barry, how do we keep the passion of a hobby when getting paid? I feel like it's kind of in your bones, early on. When I first passed my check ride, I thought, okay, the private, we can go places, it's kind of fun. But I kept becoming more and more passionate with each successive flight that I took. And that's kind of for me when I knew, all right, now we know where we're going. And the other comment I want to make, James, our first talk together, you asked me what my dream job was. And I was honest with you. I was like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is.
Most people, by the way, don't.
Yeah. Yeah. It could be this job that I've got an interview with, and it may not be. I don't know. But that to me is kind of the excitement level. And that's where the passion is really driving from, is that there's still a lot to discover here when it's coming around.
Yeah. This also goes to the difference when you have someone that got into this career field in their early 20s. Like, so I'm a first generation pilot. My family's all cops, nurses, and firefighters. I'm the failure of the family. I fly airplanes. I am. And so, when I decided to go into this, my dad did the best he could to research, but nobody knew anything about it. But my whole context for work has been being a pilot. I graduated high school, went to Embry-Riddle, flight instructed. I started flying before I had a driver's license, like the whole nine. When you get into your 30s and 40s and things start becoming tough in the industry, or maybe even your 20s, depending on your timing, right? If your only context is flying airplanes, there's things that will bother people that if you've ever sat in a cubicle will never bother you. They just won't. I mean, I remember when I was at NetJets, I used, whenever I'd overnight in Teterboro, I'd have a conversation, I'd bring my parents out. And my dad was asking about the crew food, right? Because they give you a lot of it. And so they pay for your meals. And so I've got this boxed lunch and my dad's looking at it and he goes, he saw the receipt in there and he goes, Jesus, he goes, they charged $75 for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? That's insane. He goes, why wouldn't they just give you money to eat? I go, oh, Dad, they give me 4 crew meals a day, plus they pay me per diem. They give me another $80 a day to eat. He goes, are you kidding me? He goes, I'll cut you a deal. I'll make you the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'll only charge you $50. Like, my father could not.
It's like the PB&J's by the Pentagon.
You got to remember, my dad was a Jersey cop. What am I going to complain to him about at work? Like, you got to remember, when you get into this later in life, you have a different frame of reference of what difficult is. You have a different frame of reference of what tough is. Like Ben said, many folks in their careers will have had people that they have disappointed, and the person they disappointed did not react the way they would have anticipated. You have a different set of skills coming into this, that as long as you're honest with yourself over what level of interaction you want with people in the back of the airplane, corporate is going to be pretty high. Airlines are going to be pretty low. But think about aeromedical, right? There's all different types of interactions you can have with people in the back of the airplane. And so what we find is our folks that do the midlife career change tend to be happier because they know more about themselves. They know more. They may not know whether they want to be an airline pilot or a corporate pilot, but they know what makes them happy. They know what type of work environments they like and they don't. And so my job becomes, hey, let me paint you a picture of what you don't know while you paint me the picture of what you like, and let's marry the two together. So there is something in there in terms of like, we have far, far, far fewer folks that are midlife career change unhappy with it. They're like, I can't believe someone pays me to do this. Don't say that out loud in a job interview. It cuts your pay down pretty significantly.
I learned that, and yes, you're right. Don't say that in an interview. But
I think that's it's interesting to think about if you compare it to your kid or to younger people you see who haven't dealt with humans in the real world in all sorts of experiences, whether it's in your job or not. I need to go to the bank and ask for this thing and I don't know how to do it. How do I just talk on the phone to this? And it's like, sorry, I've been doing that for way too many years now. And it's those life experiences, I think, that are some of the difference. We have a lot of new pilots, some who are still full students who are working on it. I'm sure a lot of them haven't thought about a career change or don't want to or aren't sure. What would you suggest they keep in mind, whether it's maybe one day I'll do it, what I call the retire and become a pilot people, or the ones that have no idea? Is there anything they should keep in mind from that very early point forward, or just enjoy the process and wait?
I consider the instrument rating to kind of be where the first Y in the road cuts. Mm-hmm. So if it were me, I would go through private training and I would go through instrument training, and my sole focus would be, what do I like about this? What do I not like? This may sound really, really weird given that I flew for the FAA certifying instrument approaches. I mean, I can't 100% verify this, but I'm 99.9% sure I was the world's worst instrument pilot. It never made any sense to me. I could not create a picture in space of where I was at. I didn't understand what was going on the map. And you got to remember, I learned in steam gauged airplanes. So like, they had those not even color GPSs in the airplane yet, right? So I really liked the kind of VFR flying. There are other people that are super rules oriented that really love the instrument flying. So the first thing is, hey, when you're going through the private and you're going through the instrument, just kind of pay attention to what you like and what you don't like about it. When the instrument training is done, that's really where we start to say, okay, hey, look, now you're going to start not to say that you're not putting a lot of money into your private and your instrument, but you're going to drop a lot more money moving forward if you go professional. And so that's where we start looking at, hey, do we really want to do the time investment to get into my commercial pilot certificate? Once I get the commercial, do I want to buy my own airplane and time build? We have a lot of midlife folks that do that. It helps them keep their income, right? We have folks that lease airplanes to time build. We have folks that say, hey, listen, I'm going to part-time CFI while I do this and time build on my own. And then the other thing that's different when you're dealing with folks in their 30s and 40s that have had other careers, they tend to be, networking comes a lot easier to them in general. Unless you're talking about something that's changing out, like engineering. And I'm not trying to make fun of engineers.
Please do. Please do.
But,
I've cast,
so
yes.
you tend to have folks they're less afraid of rejection. There is a large portion of their life that existed pre iPhone. And I'm not being funny with that. Like, so they had to like make eye contact and start weird conversations and ask people out on dates, and they didn't have dating apps and stuff so there's a skill set there. So that post instrument is where it switches from, hey, this is really a lot of fun, to, okay, hey, I actually want to come up with a plan and be serious about how am I going to do this.
Yeah. Well, so, okay. I just got mine. So, okay, I started in 2021, and then I did about 800 hours of VFR flying around all over the place.
It's a long time to solo.
Right? Yeah. And then, Yeah, I would have Ted come by and do in-flight fueling for me in his flight sport. But no, so and then just in the last year, I started to realize with the momentum that I got from getting my instrument rating, passing a bunch of written tests, getting AGI, IGI, got my commercial done, and then you know now I'm approaching on my way to 1,000 hours, and you start to go, okay, I'm probably one of these people that's not totally convinced that it's for me, but I have enough curiosity to continue to go after it. I have a weird feeling that I would like to be in a pretty specific type of situation that's maybe atypical. Something that's, I think what would make me happy is like flying a cool airplane, doing something valuable, you know, flying a caravan, doing some, I don't know, whatever. I just want to, I don't want to be a airline pilot. Right. So I'm thinking about all these kind of things for career change. But in all of that, where would I get, like, what would be my strategy from here when it's still sort of discovery phase where I'm committed to the idea, but the path I'm not committed to. I don't have a ton of money to throw down. And then also I'm 54, I just turned 54. So when would you say it's too late? I know that that's like a lot of things, but I think that would be like I feel like I'm an interesting test case for you to sort of illuminate a lot of the things that I feel like I embody a lot of what a lot of our listeners are, where a lot of us are. We're not against it. We're not jumping into it. We're sort of trip, fall, succeeding and realizing we have a bunch of hours and maybe, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So let's talk about a couple different things that go into this. So the first difficulty is 98% of the advice on the internet is structured to a 22-year-old that wants to be an airline pilot. So the first thing, and I'm going to use some dark humor from a guy I used to fly with at the FAA, but everyone's obsessed with how fast something can happen, and they need to back off that because you're creating pressure for yourself that does not exist. I used to have a guy I flew with at the FAA. Anytime you'd have like an emergency or an abnormal situation and somebody would freak out, he would go, calm down. You have the rest of your life to figure it out. Right. And
that's perfect.
You know, it's really true. It's like, hey, look, calm down. You got the rest of your life to figure out. You're either going to figure it out or it's going to end here very quickly. Don't worry about it. So when you think about 54, yes, that is old to like an 18-year-old, but it's actually, when you're 54, it's not that old, right? You probably feel a lot younger than you did about how you felt about a 54-year-old when you were 18.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. If you want to become a wide body pilot for a legacy airline, yeah, dude, it's going to be really tough. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but you're going to go through a world of hurt to make it happen. Number one. And number two, if you go all the way back to 1903, the hiring that we saw between 2021 and 2023 was the highest hiring you will have seen in the history of aviation. So if you go all the way back to the 90s, an unbelievably high hiring year was 5,000 pilots. An average hiring year was 1,000 to 2,000 pilots. In 2021, we hired 13,000 pilots.
Whoa.
In 2022, we hired 13,000 pilots. So for anybody that's been in aviation for the past 10 years, which feels like a long period of time, they have a obscenely skewed view of what hiring in aviation looks like. It'd be like talking about the value of housing between 2002 and 2007. You're like, any idiot. You remember all those flipping shows where people would come in with a spray paint can, spray paint stuff, and show up $300,000 more later? Like, yeah, I'm not saying it didn't happen. It's just, it was raining and you had a bucket. That's why you were catching water. That's what happened the past 10 years in aviation. It was raining. People walked out with a bucket. They were catching water. Let's not make it sound like we're all geniuses here. So the first is, most people have to slow down the thinking and take a deep breath. The reality of the situation is you have to around age 70 where it starts to become very difficult to find a flying job. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's going to be super difficult. The other thing is you got to widen the aperture outside of the airlines. You have Part 91, you have Part 135, you have guys that are flying 421s and 414s and Cirrus jets and all these other things around for people that are professional pilots. But the imagery that you see is United, Delta, American. And the pathway to that is very different than these other options that are on the table.
Yeah.
So is 54 too old? No, it's not. But it does depend on what you want out of your career, which is what that initial conversation looks like. Let's kind of, a lot of it is, let me draw you the path to United. People go, I don't think I want to do that. I'm like, no, I understand. Okay, let's draw the path to a regional. And some people will go, oh, you know what? I could do that, you know? And then you go, okay, let's draw the path to a 91 or a 135. And they go, I can actually do that as well. Like, I mean, if we got you hired by a NetJets or a FlexJet by the time you were 60, you would have 10 more years of professional flying. That's not a short period of time.
No.
It's and think about what we could accomplish in 6 years with a plan. So people are looking, you know, hey, 54, you're not over the hill, you're under it. It's like, no, not really. I mean, you could, at a very nice pace, I don't want to make it sound like it's easy, because it's not. It's not easy. But it's not as complicated as people make it, right? We go, here's one data point. This is where you're at on the map, flight time wise, income wise, family wise, so on and so forth. When do you want to get there? Well, I want to completely destroy my life and get there as quickly as possible. Okay, well, let's talk about what that looks like. And then all of a sudden you're like, maybe I don't want to do that, right? So, but you draw a 6-year timeline. Think about how long 6 years is.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time to get your financial house in order. That's a lot of time to get debt taken care of. That's a lot of time to get kids transitioned. That's a lot of time to live, to take portions of your income to save so that you cushion the income loss you're going to take. You still have a decade of professional flying after that.
And you can get life insurance for policies for people in your family with enough time in between where it doesn't seem suspicious.
Exactly. So does that make sense in terms of like, people get too obsessed, and I understand, because it's the internet is full of, when you go on the internet, all they talk about is every day you're not there, you're losing seniority. And the reason why that exists is because, and I own a career development company, but I don't happen to use this as in my marketing. But if you own a career development company and you want to convince people to spend money with you, convince them that they're behind. That's why that exists.
Yep.
You don't have to make it there yesterday.
It's a false urgency.
It is.
Yeah. Kind of tagging on to what Brian was asking, you know, a 2-week on, 2-week off schedule, or a 7-day on, 7-day off schedule might not fit somebody. But can you talk about, there's quite a few different jobs out there, contract work and others, that I guess what I'm trying to get at is what kind of part-time flying? In other words, I don't want to go full on career switch, but I am at close to retirement, or I have an income stream coming in. I'd like to do this part-time. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So when it comes to part-time flying, that is going to be like 99% of the time is going to be done through networking. Like, you're not going to find that job online.
Right.
Okay. The question there becomes, number one, what are the minimums that they're going to require to insure you to fly that airplane? That's the number one limitation, is what will an insurance company insure you? And Ben, you can talk more about that than I could. But it's not the federal aviation regulations that dictate what you can fly, because those are scant.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, those are bare minimums. Nobody's going to insure you to touch an airplane at those FAA minimums. So it is one of 4 underwriters, I think is what it is, for aviation insurance, that are going to dictate. It's why at age 70 you're going to retire, because the insurance premium is going to 5x or whatever it is, right? Okay. The next part of it is, are you going to pay for your own training, or are they going to pay for it? So you find a guy that has a Pilatus or a King Air or something like that, and you make if they're paying for your training, they've got to run a calculus for, is it worth it? If you pay for your training and you contract back to them, but you're contracting back to 3 or 4 other people as well, now you're amortizing your training, all your costs across 3 or 4 different companies. So if you want to do part-time, it's a full-on networking play. And the people that I personally network with are the aircraft sales brokers in the area. That's, if you want to get into that market, you need to start talking to the airport operations managers. You need to start talking to the aircraft mechanics, and you need to start talking to the aircraft salespeople, because they know everything that's going on in the market. They know what airplanes are moving, what airplanes are not moving, who's doing what. I mean, those people know more than anybody else on the face of the earth. And that's actually how I got into getting access to the airplane that I currently, it was through a mechanic. He went, hey, this airplane came in, it flew 9 hours last year. Great. Here's my phone number. You know, I would have never met that guy. He would have never met me if it wasn't through a mechanic. So
that's fantastic. And that's actually that kind of path feels, even though less structured, perhaps more native to my personality and how I like to do things and the types of aircraft that I think I'm most interested in flying. Because I mean, ultimately, it's not, when people talk about career 2.0, there's some people that it's really there's a money situation there. Honestly, even making a little bit of money will be probably great for some people. Just the fact that you know, somebody's paying for the gas and it's not you, kind of thing, right? So and you get to go fly. So, and you don't have to wear goofy clothes as much, or I don't know, whatever it is, you know what I mean? I don't have to do laundry, starch laundry, that would be high stress for me.
Yeah. Look, the thing with the networking that is tough for most people is it is extraordinarily inefficient. It's also the most effective way to do it.
Right.
So, and networking is like baseball. It's like, whoa, that guy's amazing. He struck out 80% of the time. You're like, yeah, no, he's going to the major MLB, right? Like, you're going to strike out 8 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times. That's when you're good at it. When you're first starting it, you're going to strike out 99% of the time. And so once people understand that, like, this is a long-term play, it's 18 to 24 months of laying that network. It's going to be non-transactional, right? I'm not talking to people to take something from them. I'm talking to people for a conversation and a connection. Those are the two objectives. And then also understanding it's going to be extremely inefficient, but extraordinarily effective.
Go ahead, Ben. You go.
I wanted to kind of switch gears just a little bit, and this has been so. I'm glad everybody else is getting to see the type of service you provide. I've always been so impressed with how you approach things. I did want, for our listeners out there, the hiring landscape, we know we had the blip in 2021, 2022, and then things kind of shut off, and now things seem to be like they're picking back up. But I wondered if you could give us a quick overview of what the hiring landscape looks like. I know they're kind of interrelated, 121 to 135, Part 91. One maybe beget the other. I don't know, but I wondered if you could comment on that.
Yeah, so we kind of laugh on the back end because it is harder than 2021 and 2022, but it's not hard. I mean, we're still seeing 5,000-6,000 pilots getting hired a year. So, like, when you think about post 9/11, we didn't even start rehiring. There was zero hiring between 01 and 04. So when I applied for flight instructor jobs, I got turned down because you needed 1,000 hours of 121 time to apply for a flight instructor job. That's how bad it was. Okay, 1,000 hours in an RJ to teach in a 172. That's how bad it was. So when we talk about good versus bad, understand there's a reference there. In 04, I think we were hiring 2,000 or 3,000 pilots a year. And that was a window between 04 and about 07, 08, and then it all fell off a cliff again. So we're in a consistent rhythm right now of still 5,000 or 6,000 pilots a year. That is a sweet spot. Yes, it is still competitive. Yes, you will still have to work for it. And it's possible. It's not like 2002 where you're like, just hang it up and go into accounting, like call it a day. So all of the hiring in the United States is dictated by 4 companies, United, Delta, American, and Southwest. If they're hiring, they're sucking people up from the regionals. They're sucking people up from corporate. They're sucking people, and it's a rising tide raises all ships, and everybody gets hired in underneath that. The reason why the past 2 years got a little wonky is because when Boeing started blowing doors off airplanes, it created some issues. And now all of a sudden you don't have the legacy. The legacies for about 2 years were not hiring as many as they thought they were going to, which means not as many regional pilots were leaving. The other thing was in like 23, the regionals parked 500 jets. It wasn't because of demand. It's because they couldn't find enough captains. So they overhired first officers. These first officers were sitting around doing nothing. And they went, well, we need to cut back on the FOs we have so we can get them more flight time, so we can mandatory upgrade them to captain so we can bring in new people behind them. So there's been a couple of weird factors over the past couple of years that have impacted the hiring, but it's a really healthy hiring market. Honestly, it really is. So.
Yeah, I listen, I'm I'm not going to say a success story, but I have followed. You've got a great staff behind you. Ray Lynn has been fantastic when helping me network. Again, 35 years in the insurance industry, I had networked every single day of my life, but there was a lot that I didn't know. And she was instrumental in, just getting the name out there. And you got to be persistent. That's you mentioned it before. I read every single one of your LinkedIn posts because they're very insightful, but it's not about the initial no, it's the continuous follow-ups and staying in touch. And that persistency, I think, goes a really long way. And
you want to push really right up to the restraining order, right? You don't want to cross the line into one, but you want to be right up against it, right? Like, we call it being politely persistent.
Until you tell me to go away, I'm going to continue to bother you.
Well, so I mean, I always say true love is 501 feet, right?
Yeah, so,
exactly. Right. James, I'm glad that Ben mentioned it. But is LinkedIn like where you put most of your effort right now? You used to have a podcast. I know you show up on some others. 21.5 is a good example of that. But is LinkedIn a great spot to kind of see your work?
It is. So I'll give you guys how the LinkedIn content is created. So Ben knows this, but everything that we do internally with clients is recorded so that we can send it to the client. So when Ben goes through a networking session, he can talk with Relin. He then gets a recording of that so he can rewatch it if he needs later on to go grab notes, so on and so forth. All of my coaching sessions every week, that goes to me and my writing partner, and we download them, and that's what creates the post. So if you want free coaching, my LinkedIn posts Monday through Friday are literally coming from the coaching sessions, the questions people are asking.
That's fantastic.
It is. The other thing we have, we de-identify names, and we
protect the innocent.
Protect the innocent by changing some details that don't impact the story, but impact their viewability to figure out who they are. And then the other thing is I put out a newsletter every Saturday. And it's the same thing. It's all content on what we're seeing people struggle with. My thing is steal all the free stuff you can before you make a decision to reach out and decide whether you want to engage someone. On top of it, I'm fortunate that people invite me to speak. So I speak at conventions. I come on podcasts. If I'm lucky, you guys may invite me back at some future time. 21.5 invites me back quarterly. So those are the main ways to kind of find me.
Well, okay.
And I'll go ahead and give them a shout out real quick. I've had a little bit of interaction with those guys, and if you're considering flying professionally, they cover all the bases. They do a really good job, and just want to give them a shout out real quick.
Yeah, Dylan and Max are really good. We've been hooked up together since, it's like 7 years. I remember when coronavirus happened, we had some pretty heavy episodes where we were telling them. So the big thing with us is we track a lot of data, and we have a lot of back-end connections into what's going on in the industry. So the folks that are working with us are getting information usually 6 months before the market knows what's happening. And so we were having some conversations during coronavirus, and I remember it got bad enough, like where just the information we were giving was so bad. I said to them, "You don't have to invite me back if you don't want to." And they were like, "We're going to take 3 months off. We'll talk to you later." And that was rough. So, but they have a lot of really good stuff.
Okay, so here's the thing: we are definitely going to have you back on. I'm glad you were able to plug all of the things. I'm actually going to immediately start stealing free things from you. So this is fantastic. But I wanted to. So the audience doesn't know this, or we kind of glossed over this in the beginning, but you have also worked for some acronym-related entities that have governance. And yes, there it is. The FAA has entered
free aviation advice.
Right. So I thought, as maybe a preview of one of the next times we have you on for sure, maybe you could tell us, okay, give us, so you've done ramp checks, I'm sure, right? Or things like this. You've done inspections, you've done accident investigations, you've done all these things.
Mhm.
What is something you can tell us numbnut midlife pilots to do or not do if we have any kind of an incident or an accident? And I already kind of know what the answer is to this, and I'm now going to demonstrate it by stopping talking.
Yeah. So the first thing is it depends on whether they're going to find something or not. If they're going to find something, you might want to keep your mouth shut. So here's the reality of the situation. There is a key difference between what I did at the FAA and what, say, FBI, DEA, ATF, or local law enforcement does. By and large, and I mean this genuinely, like I did a lot of pilot enforcements. I mean, a lot. Like this is my penance for them. And by and large, north of 97, 98% of the time, if someone violated a regulation, it was not intentional. They weren't trying. Look, are there people that take car parts and put them on airplanes? Yes. Like they're usually on YouTube though, telling you what they're doing, right? Like, but by and large, it was not intentional, right? Okay. The FAA has shifted their compliance policy from, hey, instead of using a stick, we're going to use education, right? As long as it wasn't intentional, as long as you did not, like, look, if you decided you wanted to, fly over your neighbor's house at 35 feet in a, Vision jet, like it's probably not going to go very well. But, busting airspace, stuff like that, like they look at it for what it is. When I used to do enforcements, there's a lot of information you can download before you ever talk to the pilot. I'm going to call up air traffic and I'm going to get copies of the tapes. I'm going to get recordings of the radar stuff. I'm going to take a look at altitudes and airspeeds and so on and so forth. But if something happens and you either think you're going to be investigated or you're going to be investigated, two huge things. Fill out a NASA form. Like the amount of people that don't take the time. I had a situation a little while ago with an engine failure. I didn't do anything wrong. First thing I did is went out and filled out a NASA form. Right? Okay, cool. So that's your first line of defense. As long as you didn't do it intentionally, right? It's going to be a huge help. Now, once again, you put car parts on an airplane knowingly, then that NASA form's not going to protect you. The second thing is contact an attorney. Do not have the person investigating you educate you on your rights. Have a professional whose sole responsibility is your interests. I think a lot of people think that when they contact an attorney, they're going to coach them to lie or they're going to make it adversarial. A really good attorney, the FAA will never know they're involved because they're going to stay out of the spotlight, and they're going to coach you how to cooperate properly. The amount of times people have problems during an enforcement investigation because they provided inaccurate or incorrect information that now, hey, guess what? That went up to FAA legal. It's now in their hands. It's out of the inspector's hands. So now you're going to pay an attorney way more money to get that one figured out, right? The attorney is there to stop miscommunication, stop misunderstandings, educate you on what your rights are before you go down the process and step on your own toes. The attorney, at least a good one, and in aviation, you can call up AOPA. There's lots of really well-known attorneys that you can go to. They're going to coach you to cooperate, and they're going to coach you how to cooperate. They're also going to be proactive, that if something went wrong, they're going to have you take wings courses, or they're going to have you do things before you ever get the phone call that show I'm acting in good faith. It was not intentional. I wasn't looking to create a problem. They can de-escalate so many things for you before they get out of control. Yeah. Versus the inspector starts the investigation, you provide inaccurate or incorrect information, the inspector doesn't know that, now they got to act, yada, 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 yada.
So Ted, did you get all that? Because this was this is still recording, right? Okay, good. I just thank you for getting Ted all that information. And also, I was just thinking about, okay, so if you go and I don't know, you rob a convenience store and then you call your lawyer and they go, look, all right, just go to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
do some volunteer work. There's going to be some things coming, but I think you're going to be okay. Like the fact that there is a real strategy within FAA compliance, I think, is to be noted. I would love to talk to you more about it. James, can't thank you enough, man. This has been awesome. I want to become a pilot more now, just to have the experience of being guided through it, right? Because this is such a fascinating conversation, man. Thank you so much for everything.
James, can you tell us where everybody can find your website, your socials?
Sure. So LinkedIn, you can just look me up directly, James O'Neill, and then I will put in the chat right here if it's okay, if I can figure it out. I'll put the link, ravencareers.com, and you can just sign up for the newsletter and
we'll have it in the show notes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
And
So
we'll have your
ravencareers.com
profile too.
If you click contact us, you can set up a free 15-minute strategy session. It'll be either Eileen, Scott, or Andrew on my team. Otherwise, you can sign up for the newsletter. You'll get that every Saturday. And then LinkedIn, if you just follow me Monday through Friday, you'll see all the posts that I put up, which are the coaching sessions I've done within the past 7 days.
So cool. Well done, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It has been a real pleasure. Fellas, anything else for the good of the order?
Nope.
Tonight's words of wisdom: when you really, really want to make the trip, the weather will always be just a little worse than either your capabilities or those of your airplane. Signing off, episode 192 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, that was great. Yeah. So we're still live. We're going to record a second episode, people. So I think Mark's going to join us and James is leaving. That's not like a please leave, James. It's just it's kind of giving direction for people. But
I really
appreciate
appreciate you doing it, James, man. This was really, really good.
Yeah, it was fun. I look forward. Hey, man, if we got some FA chats coming up, let's go. I got some good stuff.
I'm serious about this.
know.
We're going to have you on every once a month we do what we call information whiskey. It's just where we're just bullshit the whole time.
Yeah.
I think that would be a perfect one for that.
Dude, I'm ready.
And I had a final interview on Thursday.
Nice. How'd it go?
I think it could have been a great interview. It could have been a terrible. I just got no feedback from them whatsoever.
Yeah, they're stoic.
They were all sphinxes and the chief pilot, Quinn Hammond, is actually a listener of the show, and he asked to meet up with me at Oshkosh. So I had a nice 2-hour chat with him.
Sweet.
So we'll see. Let us know in the next 2 weeks. So keep your fingers crossed.
I'll be tracking on the back end. So
awesome. You
guys have a good next episode. I'm gonna go have
Appreciate you very much, buddy.
Hey, James, before you leave, the one question I didn't say on the air, Wendy, how do you spell his last name? Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, Onineal.
Yeah,
we'll have it in the show notes.
Yeah, it's super weird. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
guys.
it's awesome.
All good, man. Good to see you.
All right, you guys have a good one. Talk soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Mark.
Hello, Mark.
Where were you? Where did you fly out to?
I was in Wisconsin, actually.
Oh.
I was my family reunion. So it was the week after Oshkosh. Typically, the family reunion happens the week of Oshkosh, but
I remember it does. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm going to step away for a quick minute.
Yeah, I'll do the same. You can entertain people, Mark.
let's see how well I do that.
Interpretive dance is the suggestion. Yeah. Luke was Luke, we agree. So
Yeah.
be right back.
Okay, so hello everyone. I don't know what to say or do, or I don't know how to be entertaining. Yeah, I had a great time with you at Oshkosh, Luke. That was really, really fun. That was fantastic. this is why I quit streaming poker, by the way, because I got to the point where I'm like, I'm just playing the game and I didn't know what to say. And it's funny, it's like listening to my son stream. He is so much better at streaming and just keeping people's attention and keeping things going on. So I don't do that as well. Let's see. Do I have a rant handy? I do not have a rant handy. I wish I had a rant handy. The thing about the rants are that I'm generally a pretty happy person. I'm generally pretty satisfied. And so it takes some time and some effort for me to get annoyed with something. And so it's hard to like come up with those sort of on the spot. I thought, let me pick things that everybody has experienced and just pick the things that typically annoy me in a flight. And so the last one where I was trying to figure out what to do the run-up, I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can find all kinds of topics for rants. Nope, can't.
Yeah. Hey, man. So I drove to the coast this weekend. It was 2.25 hours to get down there and 3.5 to get back. It was a delight. But what I loved was sitting down there and it's like, look up at the skies and think, and pull up the METAR and it's like, 1,500-foot ceilings. Oh man, this would be awesome.
Yes, it would be.
It's kind of the longer destination that people go to do IFR stuff. It's a little further than you'd want to do with just a regular CFI, but it's a good, it's 45 plus minutes to get there by plane. But it's a good spot for that. Lots of people go in and out of there for their IFR training. So I thought that would be a lot of fun to do that.
There have been questions about the airplane.
Yeah.
I am actually intentionally pushing out the build of the airplane because I am trying to get them to let me put in the Axis panels rather than the G3X because it's a pretty significant functionality upgrade for a pretty insignificant cost upgrade. So
I think there have been about 36 G3X's systems, full kits for sale on the Vans forums. Like the minute it was announced, everybody, like all these people that pre-purchased their avionics are like, it's worth it just to get rid of this thing, which is amazing. Because the G3X, like compared to a G1000 is stunning. And then what that says about the Axis is amazing.
Yeah. So am I still glad I chose the Sparker? Yes. I have not found an airplane that I think would be better suited for what I'm trying to do. I keep hoping that there will be one, and then I will be disappointed with the Sparker. But right now, it is still the best fit for what I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, Wendell.
Hello, Brian.
I feel like everybody has hung out at Oshkosh, but I just haven't seen anybody in person in a while.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
So, Wendy, if you're still in the chat, Jane does spell his name in an unusual way, but
He said it on the air.
Oh, he did. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot that we were still live because we're doing 2 episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of,
Should we go for it?
I think we should just get into it. We've got
Let's
geek,
do it.
we got the geek here. He's got his warm colored lamp.
He always looks so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
He looks better on the pod than he does in person.
That's true.
Wow.
That's true.
And I mean that with nothing but love and affection. Well, mostly love and mostly affection.
With the expected amounts of love and affection, yes.
Yeah. With it.
All right.
Proper.
Shall we?
We shall.
Let's send it.
Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast. What is it like to become a pilot in midlife? The challenges are unique, but so are the rewards. Hosts Ben, Brian, and Ted talk learning to fly, growing as pilots, and the joy of flying to destinations. the purpose of the podcast is not to teach, but to share knowledge and experiences. You definitely should not take any advice too seriously from an aviation podcast that uses terms like icing on the vegetables. Okay, checklists are complete. Let's get the show started.
Hello and welcome to episode 193 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast, where we share the experiences and challenges of flying in midlife. Today, we're going to talk about getting in the way of our AMPs, owner-assisted maintenance. With me today, again, my friend in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a poet, didn't know it. Listen to me rhyme like that. His name is Brian Siskin. He lives in Nashville, flying a Cherokee 180 named Lucy. Hello, sir.
Hello. Good to be here. Glad to Wendell Geek is here with us, and this is going to be an exciting episode. I feel like I'm going to learn a lot on this one.
I am very excited about this episode because I, too, am going to learn a lot. Also joining us from the West Coast, our sport pilot extraordinaire, flying a CTLS we like to call the Egg. He is everybody's friend. It's our friend Ted. How you doing, sir?
Hey, doing good. Glad to be here.
And then the aforementioned mechanic, plane builder, who is also flying it's not a Warrior, it's a Cherokee 235. Yes. I'm sorry, I almost called it a Cherokee 182. It's our friend and fourth host of our podcast who does so much for us, and we appreciate it. It's Wendell Geek, also known as Wendell, and also known as Mark. Hello, sir.
Hi. I'm doing
Hi.
great. I'm having a great time. I just spent a week in Oshkosh, came back to Charlotte for a week, and then spent another 4 days in Wisconsin at my family reunion. So I have had a lot of Wisconsin in the last 2 weeks.
Can you ever have too much Wisconsin?
I don't think so, although I think my wife would say in January you absolutely can have too much Wisconsin.
Yeah. I think any of us that grew up in the South would agree with that.
You still had time though to gamble on avionics futures.
I did. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
And we'll get into that in a minute. Want to just go ahead and then jump right into our reviews and our reviews and feedback and stuff, because we talked about our flying about an hour and a half ago. For those of you who are not watching the live stream, we're recording a doubleheader tonight. And unless you guys, you have anything else you wanted to add different from last episode?
We got a lot to get into. Yeah.
Let's dive in. We got another review, Brian. Do you want to read this one?
Love it. Yeah. Everybody's been coming through with the 5-star reviews.
Keep it coming, please.
Yeah, keep it coming. So this is from Scott's Mewen. I don't know what that means. Scott Smoon. Anyway, says 5 stars. PPL check ride complete. Love the podcast. Just passed my PPL check ride yesterday. Congratulations. I really appreciate the topics and community you guys bring together. Keep up the good work. Now for some fun flying and on to the IFR training. It really is. Congratulations, by the way, Scott. It's such a great relief and feeling to just get the private check ride done. And for those that are working on it, and it feels like it just keeps going and going, just stick with it, because the feeling you get when you're done is unmatched. And yeah, it's great.
Couldn't agree more. And congratulations, Scott. That's fantastic.
That feeling of like, oh, I can actually take up a friend now. That's one half. The other half is I am renting a plane and I don't have to check in with anyone for this. I feel like I'm stealing the plane.
That's right.
It's a mind shift, but yeah, it's really cool. I want to go into our tape machine feedback.
Keep those coming too, everybody.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, so go to midlifepilotpodcast.com and just hit the tape machine there. The one we've got this week came out of a conversation in podcast chat. I think it was about a topic in episode 191, but it's from Nathan, aka Cheapskate Aviation, and we're talking about using aviation speak in your daily life. Believe it or not, there is life outside of aviation in some of our lives. So let's play that clip.
Hey, it's Cheapskate Nate here. On episode 191, you asked us to send in examples of aviation lingo that we use outside of aviation. I have 3 kids who are always asking me to do things for them, and I found that ATC's line terminology has been a really efficient way to manage their requests. I'll give you an example of the sort of interactions that I have that usually happens like the second I walk in from work. I've changed the names to protect the guilty. So Susie comes up, Dad, can you help me open this? Me, sure, just let me put my stuff down. Then John comes, Dad, will you unlock my tablet? Me, you're number 2 in line behind Susie. Then Jane comes, Dad, I can't untie my shoe. Me, you're number 3 in line behind John. I finally get around to opening Susie's snack, and then Jane comes again. Dad, look what I can do. I'll say, you're now number 2 and 3 in line. My wife comes, Nate, can you figure out why the printer doesn't work? Me, sure, right away. John, you're now number 2 again. I find it's best to give my wife priority handling. So then I go and I fix the printer, and more requests pile up. I originally started using this terminology as kind of a joke to laugh about how busy I always am with requests, but honestly, it's kind of worked out pretty well. When I give my kids a number in line, they seem at least slightly more patient and willing to wait, knowing that their term's coming.
I think Nathan, with 4 kids, I think that he needs to be very clear about where the movement area is and non-movement area. And you walk home from work and the kids run up to you and you're like, nope, you cannot pass that line until you've been invited past. So that's just my thought.
And have an ILS no crossing zone for like the parents' bedroom.
Hold short of the hallway, and we'll advise further clearance in approximately 5 minutes. I freaking love that. That's so fantastic. I'm going to try to incorporate that with mine now. Even though that they're older, it will be even more fun, I think.
Yeah.
My kids have started repeating "say again." They've
And who of us has not used the phrase "unable"?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Or have it used against you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to kind of put it in context, Nathan is one of the people that's flown in the egg. And he did that at Tango 82 when we were out there. And
Nice.
What was that airport that we flew out to? I know you were in front of me, Ben. It's the kind of smaller
Oh, that
runway.
was that Spring Lake or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah. So he was in
Yeah.
with me on that flight. And I've known him since before I was a host of this podcast.
Yeah. Very
Because
nice.
of this podcast, for that matter. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Nate. Thanks a lot.
Say intentions.
Very, very good. What about housekeeping, Mr. Siskin?
Yeah, I'm good. But we'll do that. But I just want to make sure we don't have any other. Are we holding on to any other tape machines?
I
We
think
are. We're gonna hold on to one for
Okay.
an episode or two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, got it. So please keep hitting us up on the Midlife Pilot Podcast tape machine, available on midlifepilotpodcast.com. Super easy to just record. It auto sends, makes sending us audio super easy. And thanks, Nate, for sending that. You can join our Patreon community and help us keep the Midlife Pilot Podcast ad-free. Your support makes the show possible, and every membership level gets you into our incredibly active Discord community. For everything Midlife Pilot Podcast, to support us on Patreon, send feedback, grab some merch, check out event info, and more. Go to midlifepilotpodcast.com. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll read it on the air, no matter what it says, as long as it's 5 stars. And hit subscribe or follow on your podcast app so you never miss an episode. It really helps other midlifers find us. So thanks for everybody, all the feedback. We love getting the emails. You can message us through the site, or you can just email us at midlifepilotpodcast@gmail.com. You can get the ultimate guide to becoming a midlife pilot from our website for free, and all kinds of other fun things. And you can get all of our goofy t-shirts that we've made out of stupid things that we've said on the show. Ooh, that's a throwback shirt, Ted. Wow. The Nobody Cares shirt, unavailable. So really cool. But thanks for everybody for, helping us keep this thing going. The Patreon thing has just been massive, and it really does help us. And just to remind people, 10% of that goes to the Freedom Aviation Network. And you can learn more about them at freedomaviationnetwork.org. And they help victims of human trafficking get out of their situations with, pilots. So pretty awesome.
Well, not get out of their situations with pilots. It's using pilots to get out of their situation.
Yeah.
But yes,
It could be
amazing work.
both. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wearing this like gray Heather Nobody Cares fly-in shirt, and I saw my partner give me the look when I was walking back here because I'm wearing khaki as I always am, and so I've got khaki and gray, and apparently that's not a combination you normally wear. But I'm in the house, so nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Which fits the shirt. Yeah. I want to thank our new Patreon members. I held these back for an episode, so sorry, you people. You are still important to us. At the Landomatic level, we have Ray B. That's Ray B from Down Under. I love our Australian contingent that we've got going. It's pretty cool. And at the Hershey Bar level, we have Ron K, Tim M, and Alan C. So thank all of you for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
In the world of achievements, we've got two we really want to talk about here. The first was Chris H, who Mark, you and Ben both met him, and he passed his commercial, then 6 days later passed his multi, and then a week later went to Oshkosh, and you guys met him at the Airline Pilot Guy live stream. So the reply to that from our friend Chuck was, meeting Mark and Ben might belong in go, no go. It's not really an achievement. You've seen like a negative achievements category.
Go for Mark, no go for Ben.
Yeah.
Great, Chris. It was great meeting you. Thank you for coming by. That's amazing for doing commercial and then multi right thereafter. That's a lot to take in a short period of time.
Yeah. The second one that I put down here, these are both kind of long ones, which are fun. And it was a Yankee Delta who got his private pilot check ride done. He had some reschedules, and his basement flooded, which is where his flight bag and logbook were. So he shared pictures of his logbook opened up to fan out the pages and hope that they're at least marginally readable for his check ride. And he, it was great seeing those pictures. And then he gave thanks to us and Opposing Bases, Seth Lake, and Cheese Pilot. It's definitely some people you can check out on YouTube if you haven't yet. And I don't know if it was his first flight out, but one of his early flights after he got his check ride done was to take his 82-year-old father up, which is kind of peak midlife. That's like one of those achievements that we all look forward to, is taking somebody up like that.
It's so cool. The photos of his logbook, strategically blooming like an onion. It was really impressive. I'm so glad that worked out, because this is what it is, real life. In midlife, you're trying to do things like handle household floods while trying to get your check ride done. And, our friend Gita Brown of the Calm Cockpit podcast has been going through it too, all kinds of things. And she's going to get it done. Everybody gets it done. That's the theme here.
Absolutely. I saw the picture of that logbook. I keep mine in the basement, all my logbooks, and I immediately took them upstairs and put them in a fireproof safe, just because I was like, I'm not even going to mess around with that. That gave me a little agita there. So, all right. So tonight, for this episode, we're going to be talking with our resident expert in owner-assisted maintenance. Mark is currently working with his mechanic just in his shop doing an apprenticeship. Mark, if I misstate any of this, please correct me in any manner you see fit.
Wilco.
And he will be leaving soon, relatively speaking, to go build his own airplane that Brian and Ted and I like to affectionately call the TJ Hooker, what's actually called the TL Sparker. And there's a lot of folks in the chat want to get an update on where you are with that. But so tell us, where are we with the Sparker?
So I was actually supposed to go next weekend. I was scheduled to head out next weekend, but there was a delay in paint. So the way that the build works is they build the airframe and then they paint it. It's fully painted before I get there, and then I go there and there's a whole list of tasks that I'm supposed to work on, but I can't work on any of those until paint gets done. And due to some of the complexities of the paint job that I sent in, and probably specifically the request for Wendell to be on the airplane. It
Are you
got delayed
serious?
a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good, man.
So it's
I
delayed a
feel
little
responsible for that, quite frankly, and I do just want to apologize in advance. But
bit. I love it. I absolutely love
I'm
it.
really
Can you
glad
give
that you do.
Yeah, can you give that Wendell story? Why? So Mark has been known as one dull geek for a long time. Where did Wendell come from?
Well, I think Ben probably needs to tell part of this.
I'll start it out. So all of us are big fans, and they're friends of the show of Opposing Basis, RH and HE, and I believe Mark had written in feedback to the show, and AG made the comment that whenever I referred to you as Wendell Geek because of my Southern accent, he really thought your name was Wendell, Wendell, and not Wendell Geek.
I showed up in the live stream for Opposing Bases, and he goes, "Oh, Wendell Geek. That makes a lot more sense."
Does it?
Anyway, people in the OB world started calling me Wendell, and it's just sort of passed along into this world, and I think it's fantastic. I love it. Of the nicknames that I have, it's among my favorite.
Okay, good. I'm glad that it's not unliked. So,
Just so you know, Mark, by the way, that is the name of the old school meat and three and liquor store that is in my neighborhood. It's Wendell's. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think, like, I keep thinking that when the new airplane comes out, that I'm going to use just the intro to the Mr. Wendell soundtrack to sort of like replace the horns that I have. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to actually do that.
All right.
Now, okay, I have to know, how far does Meat and Three go? Does that go to Georgia and North Carolina and Wisconsin?
No, yeah, it doesn't go to. I don't know if it goes to Wisconsin, but it's in every town in Georgia, literally in every single town.
Mark, what do you know about that?
Nothing.
Okay, good, because like anywhere in the West, and I mean,
Let's for all of our
like Western,
listeners,
yeah.
Meat and Three is a cafeteria style diner where you're given you get to choose one meat and three sides, and the meat could be fried pork chops, meatloaf, obviously some type of protein, and then they got a whole variety of vegetables to choose from. So,
And is that the name of a type of restaurant or a brand name?
it's not a brand name. It's colloquial. It's a cafeteria is what it is. But you get one meat and three, and everybody just calls it a meat and three.
it's like going to get Chinese food. You go to a Meat and Three, right?
It's different because it's not Chinese food. It's all Southern food.
Well, I just mean like it's a categorization
I
like
see.
Chinese food would be.
So, and
Yeah.
y'all know buffet is an acronym. You know what buffet stands for, right?
Oh boy.
Big, ugly, fat fellas eating together.
Well, it's funny that we started this off with a misunderstanding of one dull geek, and what I thought you were saying was meeting three. Right?
No, we're way off topic at this point, but
Yeah.
you know that's we're on brand, I guess.
Hey,
Yeah.
you get what you pay for, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get back to ownership. Mark, how did you start down this road?
I have a AMP that I worked with on the 140, and he's just a natural teacher. He loves teaching, and on the 140, he and I put the engine monitor that into the 140. And when I transitioned to the 235, they had a set of mechanics that they were using, and so we just sort of stuck with that. When I retired, I knew about 8 months or so before I retired, I went to that mechanic and said, "Hey, I would like to spend more time working on airplanes because I enjoy the process of understanding how they work at a very deep level." And he's like, "Yeah, bring it on. I'd love to have you." And so the deal that I have with him is I will give him free labor to do whatever he needs me to do, but he gives me free training. And so So I go. I will be going out tomorrow and Wednesday because I basically go out 2 days a week with him and work on whatever airplanes he has to work on. And generally speaking, he will sit there and show me how to do something, and then expect me to be able to do it, and then supervise if I make any mistakes. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I've been having a blast.
Is there anything that you particularly like working on versus maybe things you have found that you don't necessarily love working on, but still do it for the task?
I've discovered that putting a propeller, a constant speed propeller on an airplane is a 3-person job. There's no way to do it with fewer than 3 people because in order to get it tightened correctly, you need one person that's holding, 2 people that are holding the prop, and 1 person that's adjusting it and getting the bolts on, not the bolts, the nuts on correctly. And then after that, safety wiring it is an unbelievable pain in the butt. It is really unfun. And so if I were to say the thing I dislike doing is safety wiring. I thought I was pretty good at safety wiring before I got into this, and I'm not. I'm terrible. Just safety wiring an oil filter is like, there are times when I have to do it 3 times because I just didn't get it up to standard. So I would say,
aren't there
safety
tools
wiring
now that
sucks.
you can use to safety wire that make it easier?
Oh, I'm sure there are. I've
Okay.
heard them talk about that on the Ask the AMPs podcast, about something that makes it a ton easier. I don't think that my AMP is in that camp of wanting to make it easier for me. So I am full on in the safety wiring myself, and safety wiring, basically doing everything myself. And then the other thing that I found that I actually kind of liked, but it's a pain in the butt, is doing anything under the panel. So I actually worked on my own airplane to pull the instrument cluster out, the legacy instrument cluster with the 4 fuel gauges and the oil temperature, oil pressure, fuel pressure, and ammeter on there. And those things are super, super sensitive. But to do it, you got to pull a chair out so that you can lay upside down underneath the panel and get in there. I got pretty proficient at that because those particular gauges are unbelievably sensitive, and I fix one, and then I break a different one. And so I pulled that thing on and off probably 4 times. And so I really wish the last time I had filmed it, that I had taken a GoPro and said, here's what I've learned after doing this 4 times. But I didn't think about doing that until after it was already put away.
I don't know. I have like 9 fiddly screws, a DB25 connector, and an Ethernet connector, and that's it behind the panel. So it's not like I have literal fuel lines running in the panel and literal oil lines running in the panel. Yeah.
Super safe. Hey, by the way, just for some context setting, for those that are maybe just starting out or in training and are maybe looking down the line at owning a plane or building a plane or at least being involved in the maintenance of their plane, can you just lay out in a general sense the regulatory kind of underpinnings of things, generally what we're allowed to do, and then also maybe a little bit about sort of the differences between certified and experimental, just to get, this is a whole world that I don't want to unpack, but I just thought maybe some general context would be helpful.
So as an airplane owner, there is a section in Part 43 called preventative maintenance. Part 43, Appendix A, I think. I don't remember the exact number. I am sure that it will be in the notes. But it is list of like these 32 things that you can do. They include things like oil changes, changing the tires, fuel lines. I don't remember. There's a whole list of things that you can do on them. And what that means is that when the work is done, I, as the owner, can sign off the logbook entry to put the airplane back into service. Everything outside of that, I need an AMP to sign off the work to put the airplane back into service.
There is an example in there, depending on how how closely you follow that appendix that says you can change the tires on the rims, but you cannot take the wheels off the plane because that involves removing the disc brakes from the axle, which is not one of the allowed tasks. So that's that list of 31 things in Part 43, Appendix A, Section C, that when you go through this with your DPE, if you're new in this thing, this is the list of 31 things you're allowed to do. If it's on that list, it's something that if you feel you have the knowledge, you can do it and sign off. With some more asterisks we'll get to. We're going to talk about how it also gets expanded past that, but that is roughly what we're talking about, is what are the things that you can do as an owner on your own plane before you go and spend 1,500 hours and become an A&P, just so you can do 32 things on your own airplane.
And so one of the things for A&P that there's somewhere in the regulations, you're not allowed to do a single thing on the airplane until somebody has shown you how to do it and then sort of said, you're okay to do this. And even though it's the case with preventative maintenance, every single thing on that list, there's changing oil, I'm very proficient at changing oil. I've done it many, many times in multiple airplanes. But I wouldn't change the oil in my airplane until I had my A&P supervise me. And I've sort of taken that attitude across the board, that I won't do anything until I have somebody show me how to do it properly. So even in the experimental, there will be stuff that I am legally allowed to do, but I'm going to be working closely with my A&P because I want to make sure that I do it properly.
All right. Well, the chat is on fire right now. We were going to play Khalil letter bingo, but we don't even need to now because this whole place is going nuts. So maybe we should turn our attention to that.
Yes. So there have been this list, when you look at it very closely in 14 CFR 43, it's very clear. You may do these 31 things, period. It is very clear. These are not examples of things you can do. These are the things you may do, period. And then there is there's been additional discussion from FAA that kind of says that. But here's the thing. Interpretive letters from the FAA are very instructive. They're very hard to find because there's so many of them, and they're just so... they're not organized very well, all of that. And so you kind of have to know about some of these. But COLEAL is the important one here when we're talking about preventative maintenance. That's COLEAL. And this was somebody who worked for Bombardier, which is who owned Learjet at the time. And what they said was, look, our tire pressures are stupidly high. They're 200 PSI. We apparently need a mechanic to check tire pressure every day, even though that is something that pilots must check every day. So now we need a mechanic and a pilot before a plane can fly every day. What's up with that? And the reply was, that list was really just meant to be examples of things that you can do. You can do anything that is among similar difficulty. Please read into this very, very closely so you understand it. But basically, if it's similar to something on that list, you're good to go. And that's really what they said in the interpretation, which interprets, you might say changes, what is allowed in that appendix. So what that means is you're probably not going to be able to call it preventative maintenance to pull your engine and rebuild it from the ground up. But for instance, if you are allowed to change the tires on your plane, then it makes sense that you have the skill to take the disc brakes off to remove the wheel. That's really what COLEAL gets to as far as we're concerned. And our god, Mike Bush of Savvy Aviation, is a big fan of that. Generally, he's a fan of bringing things down a notch. So what some people consider major alterations, he considers minor. Minor alterations, just bring it all down of how important those things are. So COLEAL is very important if you are interested in working on your plane, for doing preventative maintenance on your plane, let's say.
T-shirt idea, Khalil story, bro.
I Googled Khalil when we were talking about this on the Discord in the private chat, and I got nothing in return. I had no idea what you guys were talking about.
Yeah.
I thought it was some youth term that people were using right now.
I'll tell you, it's really good at going through these interpretive dance letters, as it's called here in the chat. These interpretive letters of interpretation.
Yes.
Seth Lake, our friend Seth Lake, is so good at going deep into these and following his exploratory logic through them and weighing them out for all the various letters. It's really, you learn a lot of things that are even tangential to things that you weren't even really expecting to learn. So I highly recommend people get on that avenue with Seth Lake and watch him go through some of these. And I'm sure he's got one about this.
Now, before we go too much further, because again, what we're talking about now is just to quiet our chat down and reduce their anxiety level. There are two things that really change this for modern interpretation and modern uses of things. The first is, let's talk about sport pilots. We're not talking about light sport planes. We're talking about sport pilots. When you look in 14 CFR 43, it says, I think it's 43.3, it says private pilots and above may do these tasks, meaning sport pilots cannot do these on standard category airplanes. So even now, where with Mosaic, I can go out and I can fly a Cessna 172, even if I owned that 172, I cannot do preventative maintenance on it without a sign-off. On the other hand, I can go and I can work on the egg, because it is SLSA, it's special light sport. And that is a category that sport pilots are allowed to work on. So this is one of these quirks to keep in mind, depending on what license you have and what airplane you are looking at, that is an annoyance or a deal breaker or anything in between. The other part of it is what I think you and I can talk about, which is, how does this affect SLSA planes and ELSA planes and EAB for that matter in the Mosaic world?
And just for our listeners that haven't gone very far down the road in their pilot training, can we explain what the acronyms SLSA, ELSA, EAB,
sure,
AEI,
Sure, okay. But I'm not going to do Mosaic because that is such a hard one to
don't worry about it. I just the
I know that one
that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Mosaic is modernization of special airworthiness certificates.
You get 0 points for that, Mark.
Okay.
Sorry, I know it.
So, all three of you have planes that are standard category airplanes. If you look at, for instance, 91-205, quote unquote, 8 tomato flames, the things are required. Those are instruments or parts of the airplane that are required for standard category airplanes. A lot of 91 is talking about standard category airplanes. Like, well, what isn't standard? Well, things that are special. So SLSA is special light sport aircraft. That is the little section, it's really in the 91.300s of the CFRs, that says these are also airplanes. They also have 2 wings. But what we're doing is we're deferring the standards on these to an outside party. And in this case, in practical cases, it's to ASTM. And that's, long story there. But the ASTM is the industry-driven standards that are done for these. And the idea is that the industry is more motivated and they move faster, then we can get this stuff in regulation. So planes like the Egg are all in this category of planes they're not quite GA planes or general category airplanes. So they're close to that. Now,
only, by the way, only in aviation can you ask somebody to clarify acronyms and get 712 more.
Yes. So ELSA versus SLSA, so that is experimental light sport airplane. I can take my SLSA and as a this is not, let's just pretend it's true. As a one-time, one-way conversion, I can turn my SLSA into an experimental plane. You cannot do that, Ben, with your 182. FAA does not allow that. I can do that. That is fantastic because all of a sudden, if I'm tired of dealing with flight design on my plane, it's now experimental. I have the advantages and disadvantages of doing so, but there are now a lot of things I can do and not have to wait for
So
their
why
blessing.
do you have to deal with flight design if it's still SLSA?
So part of the
Flight design being the maker of your airplane.
Yeah, flight design makes the egg. In this category of plane, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but in this category of plane, because you are not following the Part 91 guidelines for planes, and I guess, and others, you have to follow what ASTM puts out. And part of that says you need the manufacturer's blessing to make any minor or major alterations. And now that Mosaic 2.0 hit, it's only major alterations and above. But that literally means any small change to the plane needs the blessing of the manufacturer, which is slightly absurd. It's worked okay in my case. It has not worked okay in cases of manufacturers that have gone out of business or don't respond to their messages, etc., where all of a sudden you might be stuck with a Dynon 120, an ancient device that you can't even get replacements for, and you have no way to install an upgrade to it. If that Dynon 120 was in your 182, Ben, you could replace it. There's more paperwork. You have to replace with a certified version, but you can do it. In the SLSA world, you can only do it with the manufacturer's blessing. That is one of the key reasons to turn it experimental, is to get rid of some of those restrictions. Now, let's get off the SLSA ELSA topic, and let's go ELSA to EAB. Mark, do you want to do that one?
So I don't know. I don't think you can take an ELSA and make it into an EAB.
I just we're gonna do different letters.
Yeah. So EAB stands for Experimental Amateur Build, and that is what I am going to be going and doing shortly. And the requirements for Experimental Amateur Build is that I do 51% of the tasks associated with the build. That does not necessarily mean 51% of the total labor. It doesn't mean 51% of the time. It means you chunk out the tasks associated with building the airplane. And if the FAA is happy that you've completed 51%, they will register it as an experimental amateur built airplane. And as the manufacturer, and then I will be officially listed as the manufacturer of that airplane. So it does not have a type certificate. It does not have a any sort of thing that I have to, like, I made the airplane, so I get to decide what is considered okay to do to that airplane. Now, there are some things that I could do to that airplane that would require me to go back and put it into phase 1 test flight, because the FAA is going to deliver to me a set of, I'm actually going to deliver to the FAA a set of operating limitations. And then they will sign off, these are your operating limitations. If I want to change those operating limitations, so for example, increasing the useful load or the max gross weight, I would have to put the airplane back into phase 1 test flying and then do a bunch of different tests on it and then certify the new operating limitations. But I am essentially the maker of that airplane. And so that means I can do more or less any work on it that I want to.
And experimental is wild because you could say, I really miss flying a Piper. I'm going to cut 5 feet off the ends of my wings so that it feels more like what I'm used to. You can do that with experimental because it is your plane. There are some restrictions, and these are things that changed with with Mosaic, but the real restriction is if you buy an experimental plane that somebody else built, only the manufacturer, the dude, the person that built the plane can inspect it, or somebody who has, Mark, you're going to have to help me here, somebody who is a...
So there's two levels of certification that you can get. One is called LSRI, Light Sport Repairman Inspection, and then there is LSRM, which is Light Sport Repairman Maintenance. The LSRI allows you to inspect, to conduct the condition inspection on any owned experimental aircraft that you did not build. And that could be an ELSA aircraft or actually an SLSA. It's also includes SLSA. So any SLSA, ELSA, EAB that is owned that I did not build, I could inspect.
But before this, it was only the manufacturer, the person, and any A&P. They didn't have to be an IA.
Correct. And any A&P could conduct the condition inspection before that.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Everyone was really surprised when they brought in LSRI, the 48-hour course, as being enough to do an EAB inspection, because all of Mosaic is talking about light sport, and all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, and all these experimentals, you're good to go. But it was because of that safety continuum where they said, well, SLSAs are higher on the safety continuum, and we're allowing you to do that. So of course we'll let you do it on these riskier, less mainstream ones.
All right. So can I bring you guys back onto planet Earth for a moment?
Yes.
Thank you. Only if your next comment includes 12 acronyms.
From because the audio audience is not going to be able to tell that we're set up in this kind of 4-piece grid. Ben and I are over here in the certified side of the screen, and we're just like, wow, this seems like a lot. But no, what I wanted to ask is, and we'll get to Mike Alpha Golf's question here, but if I know that there are people that are really on the outside looking in that maybe are only knowledgeable about certified aircraft to some extent, and maybe have done some, Part 43 type of things. What does all of this that you guys are talking about accumulate in the same register towards the pursuit of A&P, or are there differences? Or if somebody was looking at becoming an A&P, is there a more prescribed path for that if that's what they were looking to do for, say, income? So we were, last episode we were talking a lot about career 2.0. There are career 2.0 people that are looking at this from, I'd like to become an A&P, I think, in my sort of latter years. And so should they be turned away by this acronym salad, and or does it all apply? What would you say to somebody that's looking to do that?
So generally speaking, any work that you do on an airplane that you can get signed off counts towards those hours. And the hours are a lot to get your A&P. It's a lot. It's 3 years of full-time work, essentially, is what the expectation is. So that comes out to somewhere on the order of 3,600 to 4,800 hours, depending on how you interpret it. So yeah, logging hours. I have my AMT log that I am as diligent with as I am with my flying logbook. I track every hour that I have worked on anything, and my AMP has to sign that off. Now, it is relatively recently that there was an interpretation, and I don't know the letter that described this, but originally building an experimental airplane did not count as hours towards your AMP. But in more recent interpretations, that is not the case anymore. Building an experimental airplane does count as hours.
Okay, that was one of the things I was wondering, because it seems like a great way to get started down that path, or to sort of accidentally get further down that path than what you meant to would be if you were embarking on an EAB or something like that. But So then the one follow-up I have is, what is loggable? So if you're going through parts catalogs, is that loggable?
According to my AMP, yeah. Anything that I am doing that requires me, that is learning. So going through parts catalog and learning how to get from the official part number that's in that parts catalog to a parts number at Aircraft Spruce or someplace else is all part of time that is learning. That he says that's loggable, and so I log it. I include that in the time.
Yeah, so I think a lot of us are accidentally spending a lot of time that's not loggable in this world.
No, that is loggable. You mean
That is loggable.
I'm sorry. Yes, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to hit Mike Alpha Golf. He's basically set up a closing to this. Not that we're closing it now, but he said, do you get excited by Part 43, Appendix A? Do you have a favorite line in the Colliel interpretation? Do you know the difference between EAB and the LSRI? If so, call the Midlife Pilot Support Group. 1-800-OLD-HELP. Nicely done. Operators are standing by.
So let's kind of go to some, what are the first steps you should do if you understand a third of what we've talked about? And that's two things. Number one is, are you thinking about building a plane? There's a lot of hours that you can log. Do you have a plane that you're doing preventive maintenance on? There's hours you can log. Even if you're only logging 10 hours a month or 10 hours a year, get a maintenance logbook and start logging that. You don't know if you're going to decide that you're like Mark and you're going to retire from robbing banks and start working on airplanes. That you may as well get that out of the way so that you have those hours logged.
And Mark, how do you quickly figure out the logging practices for the AMT log?
Basically, I write down something, I show it to my AMP, and he says, "Yep, that looks good," and he signs it.
Yeah.
Want to hit one more comment from our friend Elliot.
Yep.
Most of maintenance work is interpreting technical data. Laying hands on airplanes is 10% of most mechanics' jobs. And I do want to point out that Elliot is a AMP with IA, with Inspection Authority. And he had a quick story in the chat that he was doing his private pilot license, and he said, "Can a private pilot change a cylinder?" And he answered yes. And he goes, "That's not the right answer." He goes, "Well, I'll use my IA then." And he says, "Oh, okay." And then they moved on. But
so not only does Elliot, he's an ANP IA, and he flies planes for a living, he also knows how to type on a computer. So, I mean that's pretty amazing.
He's a Renaissance man. What can I say?
Yeah.
Very good, guys. This was very informative for me because I learned so many acronyms. I don't know how to apply them yet, but I know what they mean now at least, and that's just me though.
Well, I want to say one more thing, which
Please.
is that with Mosaic, the FAA has taken a gigantic leap in making maintenance a lot more accessible to a lot more people, whereas the cliff that you have to jump off and really absolutely commit to become an AMP is enormous compared to what is required after Mosaic. So I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, now if they can just get to the point where they can streamline this to say you don't need to learn a turbine engine, you don't need, you know what I mean? It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It makes me insane. There should just be specialists like anything else. You go to the BMW guy or whatever. But anyway, thank you guys so much. That was really awesome.
Yep. Fellas, anything else for the good of the order before we close this one out? Don't forget, we would love if you would leave a 5-star review. As Brian likes to say whatever you want. As long as you leave 5 stars, we'll read it on the air. Give us a subscribe or a follow on your podcast player. And tonight's words of wisdom is apropos of tonight's subject. The small problem with your airplane that you've delayed fixing will become a major problem at the most remote airport on your trip. Signing off, episode 193 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Goodbye, everybody.